In this video, I'm going to give 3 reasons why most atheists, not all, most atheists run from an absolute beginning to the universe. Hi, my name is Todd, and welcome to Mission Millennial Z Alpha Generations, where we share the other side of the creation story with today's youth. Now, I've been doing this channel for over a year, part-time, and I've done about 40 videos, and I'm also very active on Facebook groups and so forth. And one thing I notice that keeps coming back at me is atheists out there saying I'm misrepresenting them when it comes to the beginning of the universe. In fact, they say I misrepresent Dawkins, because I use this quote often from Richard Dawkins because it's quite representative of what the consensus of scientists say most. And here's what he says: the fact that life evolved out of nearly nothing some 10 billion years after the universe evolved out of literally nothing is a fact so staggering that I'd be mad to attempt words to do it justice. Many of you out there say I misrepresent him, that he doesn't really believe that. Yes, he does. In fact, I will tell you that most of the leading atheistic scientists do believe this. Let's look at a few definitions. This is an AI overview. According to current scientific consensus, based on the Big Bang Theory, the majority of scientists believe that the universe did have an absolute, synonymous with literally that Richard used, absolute beginning, marked by a point in time where space, time, and matter as we know them came into existence. However, the exact nature of what occurred before this point remains a topic of ongoing research and debate, with some theories suggesting a potential before state that could be beyond our current understanding of physics. And there are a minority of scientists who do believe that the universe is past eternal. And I'll talk about that briefly later. Now, some people will say, oh yeah, time, space, and matter came into existence at the Big Bang, but not energy. That always existed. One atheist said to me the other day, like 2 days ago, he said, energy is eternal, past eternal. Well, let's look at the definition of that. Another AI overview. According to the laws of physics, particularly the principle of conservation of energy, energy cannot be created or destroyed, meaning it is not past eternal, but rather exists in a constant state of transformation, implying it has always been present in some form throughout the universe's existence. However, the question of whether the universe itself is eternal remains a topic of ongoing scientific debate. And that's what I was saying. There are a minority of scientists who are trying to restore a past eternal universe, because that's what almost everyone believed before Einstein came along. All right, so let's move on to my 3 reasons why most atheists run from an absolute beginning of the universe. Number 1, to impartial scientists, an absolute beginning has theistic implications in and of itself. And when you think of scientists, what's one of the first names that come up? Albert Einstein. He is the fellow that came up, the genius that came up with the theory of relativity, E equals mc squared. And he realized that E equals mc squared, his theory, proves that matter is derivative, not fundamental. But guess what? He had a philosophical predisposition against theism, a personal God. He was a agnostic, some say pantheist, others just say he believed in the God of, I forgot the guy's name, but the God who is impersonal. So he had a predisposition against Christian theism in particular, and I'll show you why. But let me first give you a little more backdrop of what happened here. So he comes up with this theory. He sees that it's pointing to a beginning. So he came up with certain equations. He tried to fudge, the fudge factor, they call it, some call it, to fudge these things to restore or to keep an eternal, past eternal universe, right? And a guy named George Lemaitre, a Belgian, I think, scientist who happened to be a priest, solved the field equations to Einstein's theory. And he, who went to Einstein, he was a friend, they were friends. He said, look, your theory shows that the universe had a beginning. But Einstein would have none of it. And he kept on going, trying to prove that the universe is past eternal. He put in the fudge factor, as some call it, which he later called the worst mistake of his whole career. So let's get to the point I was trying to make about the predisposition, the philosophical predisposition against something, which he overrode to his credit. Let's give him credit for that. And this quote is from Stephen C. Meyer, a book a number of you have heard me already recommend a number of times, Return of the God Hypothesis, 3 Scientific Discoveries Revealing the Mind Behind the Universe. Quoting from Meyer, where Einstein expressed disdain for Lemaitre's primeval atom hypothesis as an idea, quoting from Einstein now, inspired by the Christian dogma of creation. Now, what might that be, the Christian dogma of creation? Genesis 1:1, written 2,000 years before Einstein. In the beginning, God created. So they knew, those who were inspired knew that the universe had a beginning. So that's the Christian dogma, the Genesis 1:1 doctrine of creation ex nihilo by a supernatural God. All right, inspired by Christian dogma of creation and totally unjustified from the physical point of view. So Einstein was digging his heels in for a good amount of time. I don't know how many years. All right, Meyer continues. But the heavens would soon talk back. In 1931, Einstein visited Hubble at Mount Wilson, and he looked through the telescope, and he could see that the universe was expanding, which shows that it had a beginning. I'm oversimplifying it. Anyway, Einstein publicly acknowledged that he recognized the necessity of a beginning. All right, number 2. Intuitively, lay people know that you can't get something from nothing. And most people recognize that. You don't get, surely from nothing, nothing comes. So what do? They put their hope in an eternal, impersonal something. And number 3, admitting, the third reason why many atheists run away from an absolute beginning, admitting creation ex nihilo leaves the atheist with a lot of explaining to do. Now, in my debate, which I posted on my channel, and I'll leave a link to this debate in the description for you to watch and critique. I appreciate good, bad, and ugly comments, so to speak. You can leave them in the comment section, and I try to get to every one. It's called Theism versus Atheism Debate Challenge, Proposition and First Speech Included. Now, I'm going to read a little snippet from here that gets to the point of what I'm trying to say. A little snippet from my first speech, which is a 2,500 word speech, exactly timed out to 20 minutes, because that's what a typical formal debate will do. You have 20-minute speeches to lead out and so forth. The bare assertion, pun intended, the non-existence ultimately fathered the existence of everything, starting with a fantastically finely tuned universe, is so extraordinary it smacks of an impersonal and incoherent supernaturalism. That is, far beyond the ability of observed natural processes. At least God, and here's the point, if you listen up to this thus far, I thank you, and get this point. At least God, by definition, is not explanatorily bankrupt. Now, nothing, by definition, is explanatorily bankrupt, because nothing is nothing, right? At least God, by definition, is not explanatorily bankrupt, being an entity possessing the necessary attributes, for example, power, creativity, etc., sufficient to produce the effects of sophisticated structures like the goats. Now, the goats in context of my debate speech is specified as the creation of the universe, ex nihilo, and the creation of intelligent life. Now, here's the challenge for you all. Can you name one creative attribute or potentiality of non-existence, or if you'd rather put nothing in, that's fine. Potentiality of non-existence. That's what absolute nothing is, by the way. Responsible for the existence of the goats? Let me repeat it. Can you name one creative attribute or potentiality of non-existence responsible for the existence of the goats? If not, this debate is over based on this one head-to-head explanatory comparison, power comparison alone. Whatever you say, by the way, has to have explanatory power if it has a scientific basis. And what explanatory power does nothing have? None. All right, I'll end it there. I don't want to belabor the point. Now, if you go to that same debate, you'll see where I get into briefly the idea that the universe had no beginning. It was eternal. In some form or another, the universe is past eternal, like most of the scientists believed up to Einstein, right? I deal with that in there. Now, I can give more information about that, but I had to limit the scope of my speech to 20 minutes. So anyway, I hope you liked this video. Hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't. It helps tremendously as far as getting this channel out to others. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.